Hello. Oh man, it's so good to be back in the US. I moved to the UK in 2010, but it's so good to be back in the fertile crescent of product management. I started my product management career about 20 years ago, pretty much basically back when the profession was getting started. And as Martin said, I started off as the product manager for Internet Explorer 4.0. So for context, that was back when Apple was still a failing PC maker and Mark Zuckerberg was 13 years old. Now, I often get asked, Dave, I'd like to get a job like yours. I want to be a chief product officer. What advice do you have for me? I don't think that's a very interesting question. And I say, you don't really want my job. My job is really about approving expense reports and listening to product managers whine. But we recently had a new starter at Photobox, and she said, Dave, knowing what you know now, like if you could go back to that Dave 20 years ago and give him some advice, what advice would you give him? I thought, that actually is an interesting question. I never really thought about that. So I thought about it, and I thought about it, and it became the seed that blossomed into this presentation. I've worked on products all over the world. I have had amazing experiences, and I've had some great successes, and I've worked with the best product managers in the world. But I've also made some mistakes. In fact, I've made all the mistakes that you can make as a product manager, some of them more than once. I've been yelled at by customers. I've created products that failed. I've lost the companies I've worked for millions of dollars. One time I even made a customer cry. But I am a better product manager for it. I've been forged in the white-hot heat of failure, and I'm a much better product manager for having had those experiences. So what I've done today is I've distilled all of that experience, all those 20 years of successes and 20 years of failure, down into its essence. And when you walk out of here today, you're going to know everything that I know about product management. 20 years in 25 minutes. Are you ready? All right, let's go. The first thing I would say to my younger self is listen to your customers. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but I'm constantly shocked by how little we're listening to our customers. It's always surprising. Your job as a product manager is to be maniacally focused on understanding your customers' problems, and you cannot do that if you're not listening to them. I've interviewed over 300 product managers at 4 companies in the last 5 years, and I'm constantly shocked by how few of them have a basic understanding of the customer problem that they're trying to solve. You cannot solve the customer's problem without understanding it. And when you don't listen to your customers, you end up building solutions for problems that nobody has. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the SMALT. Now, the SMALT is the world's first smart centerpiece designed exclusively for your indoor/outdoor dining area. Now, what exactly is the SMALT, you ask? Well, the SMALT is 3 things. The first thing the SMALT is it is a speaker. It's a Bluetooth speaker. By the way, this is a real product. It's a Bluetooth speaker, and I get that, right? If you're eating, you want a little bit of music, to go with your meal, that's fine. The second thing it's a color-changing mood light. Okay, now, you might want a little ambiance. It's not really my thing, but I get that. Okay, so you got a speaker, you got some color-changing mood lights. All right, I like where this is going. And the third thing that the SMALT is, and this is the best part, it is an Internet of Things voice-connected salt dispenser. Somebody actually wrote that, right? Like some copywriter actually wrote that, okay? Now, having fun while I'm putting salt on my food is not a problem that I have. I now need a Wi-Fi code to put salt on my food. I'm going to say it right now. I am never going to ask Alexa to pass the salt. So when you don't listen to your customers to understand their problems, you end up building solutions for problems that they don't have. So the first thing I would say, little baby Dave, is spend more time listening to your customers. But the next thing I would say to him is stop listening to your customers when it comes to solutions. Your customers are the least qualified people to come up with solutions. We're not stenographers. If we just wrote down everything the customer said and put it into our products, anybody could do our jobs, right? I'll show you what happens when you listen to customers about solutions. You get this. This is the Oral-B Pro Expert Pulsar Gum Care Toothbrush. This is the world's most advanced toothbrush, okay? It has an entire website dedicated to this toothbrush where they expound at length about all of its virtues and benefits, of which it has many. It's got crisscross bristles, it's got power tip bristles, it's got end-rounded bristles, and soft gum stimulators. But my favorite part of the whole site is that they figured out the perfect angle of the bristles to get the most amount of play. Some poor bastard spent his career testing, okay, is it 15 degrees? No. Is it 17 degrees? No. It's Eureka, it's 16 degrees! So that was somebody's job. This is a picture of a toothbrush from 50 years ago. This is the Pro Expert blah-bitty blah, blah, blah. This is what you get from 50 years of listening to customers, right? So listen to your customers to understand their problem, but don't listen to your customers when it comes to building solutions. That's your job. So if I go back in time to little Dave, the next thing I would say to him is, watch the competition. And no, surfing on Product Hunt and reading TechCrunch does not count. I would say watch the competition because they're such a rich source of information that can help us better understand our customers' problems, right? I view every time the competition ships a new feature or they ship a new product, I view that as a user test that I can learn from even though we didn't ship it. Because there's so many signals out there, there's so much information that we can see where you see instantaneous feedback from customers about what they think about our products and other people's products. So these are some Amazon reviews for the Oral-B Pulsar blah-bitty-blah. And you can see, maybe not in the back, you can see that people are starting to say, I really don't like that I can't replace the batteries in this toothbrush. Interesting. Then you've got YouTube reviews, right? This guy actually did a YouTube review of this toothbrush. But here's the thing. It's had 11,000 views. So you also have then, you've got comments on the YouTube reviews, right? So we can go down this rat hole all the way down, right? So again, you've got more comments about the fact that you can't replace the battery. So if you were designing a semi-disposable battery-powered toothbrush, what might you surmise from all of this information? It's pretty easy to find. You might say that people think it's important that they're able to replace the battery, right, in this thing. But Oral-B doesn't want them to be able to replace the battery, right? Why? Because they want to sell them more toothbrushes. Because Oral-B is solving Oral-B's problems. They're not solving their customer problems. Now, interestingly enough, when you're doing all this customer research, you can also come across some amazing information about how your customers are using your products in ways that you never intended. But that's the subject for another talk. So first, I would say watch the competition because it's an amazing source of information to help you better understand the customer problem. But the next thing I would say is don't watch the competition. Okay? Stop worrying so much about what the competition is doing. In our tech bubble, our echo chamber, we froth ourselves up in a lather every time some kind of new technology comes out, and we all race to implement it. And you really have to ask yourself, does implementing that new thing really help solve the customer's problem? Or is it just a novelty? You really have to ask yourself, is connecting my service to a chatbot really going to help our customers with what they're trying to do? You really have to ask yourself, does taking something that works perfectly fine, like a salt shaker, and connecting it to the internet going to help anybody do anything? Sorry, that one makes me angry. Is anyone here from Smalt? No, I hope not. You better not raise your hand. But you have to remember that the competition is made up of people just like you and me. And they've got all of the challenges that we have in making good decisions for our customers. My last MTP talk in London was all about how the structure of the human brain and cognitive biases basically make it impossible to make good decisions. We're not going to cover that today. You can go watch it. I mean, don't watch it now. Watch this talk now, but you can go watch it later. But if the competition does come up with something that really works and something that resonates with customers, then I would tell little baby Dave to be a thief, right? I mean, don't actually steal anything, right? But don't actually be a thief. But I would say, don't be afraid to take that idea. When I was a young product manager, I used to think I had to come up with all of the ideas. And I wish I knew this sooner in my career. Your job as a product manager is not to come up with all the ideas. Your job as a product manager is to solve your customer's problem. And if someone else comes up with a better idea than you had, then take it and steal it with abandon. So I tell little baby Dave to be a thief. You're not actually watching my other talk, are you? So anyways, the next thing I would tell him is remember to get paid. So most of us as product managers are working on something that's a commercial endeavor. And we spend all of this time and effort building features and taking them to market. But we forget to ask one fundamental question. Will anybody pay for this? Right? And if you ask, we all go out and we say, do you like this feature? And the customer says, yes, I do. And they say, would you like us to put it in the product? And the customer says, yes, I would. And you're asking the wrong question, right? Because when you say, do you want us to put that in the product, the customer can say yes for free, right? They don't have to trade anything off. What you have to ask and understand is, are they willing to pay for it? What is their willingness to pay? That is the fundamental question that we all need to understand. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Last summer, Evernote decided, in search of profitability, decided to fundamentally change the way that it was pricing its products. And the internet lost its mind. Now, how many companies can have hundreds of millions of users and not come up with a way of being profitable? But the internet lost its mind. And the internet lost its mind not because they didn't see any value in Evernote. People love Evernote. I love Evernote. They lost its mind because they didn't understand why Evernote was charging for the things that it was charging for, right? It didn't make any sense. So let's take a look at why people were so angry, right? So here's their feature pricing tier. So the first thing you notice is that the transfer for the free tier per month is 60 megabytes, okay? Is that a lot? Is that a little? So then I'm left to think, okay, so a note's probably a couple of kilobytes, and a web clipping maybe 50K, 56K, and by the way, 60 megabytes is a weird number. It's not 50 megabytes. It's not 100 megabytes. What? And so now I'm left thinking, I'm having to do math now. They're making this my problem to figure out which of these things I need. They're giving me no help at all. The next thing they did was they took something that was free and they started charging for it, right? So you could, prior to this change, sync your Evernote stuff across all of your devices. And in an effort to, again, make some money, they decided to restrict it to 2 devices. And this is Evernote solving Evernote's problems, their problem of profitability, not solving their customers' problems. So you can imagine how much customers really loved when they did this. The next thing you notice, if you look at the first paid tier, first of all, you get a gigabyte of transfer. I still have no idea if that's enough for me or not. But then you say, they offer the feature, access notebooks offline. And I thought, hey, I might actually see value in that. Might actually be willing to pay for that. And then I started to think, okay, what are the scenarios where I'm going to need Evernote, but I'm not going to have access to Wi-Fi, right? I can get Wi-Fi on a plane. I can get Wi-Fi on a train. I can get Wi-Fi on the top of Mount Everest. And I'm really struggling to figure out a scenario where I'm actually going to need this, but I'm not going to have access to Wi-Fi. So that's not very helpful to me. But then this is the one that gets me. So for the biggest tier, right, your best customers, the people that pay you the most, you're going to give them a feature, customer support, right? So what you're saying is, for your highest value customers, your best paying customers, you're going to give them a feature that they're paying you for that they'll only derive value from if your product breaks. And this drives me crazy. I hate when companies do this. They make enterprise customers, fine. That makes sense for enterprise support, but not for consumers. This is not something that you should be charging for. It makes no sense. But Evernote justified the price increase by saying it reflects the significant investment of energy, time, and money. They're basically saying that they want us to give them our money because they're trying really hard. not because they're helping us or solving our problems. So they're solving their problems, right? And as product managers, our job is to solve our customers' problems. And that is why people got so angry. So as you're developing products, you have to remember to make sure that people see enough value in what you're building to pay you money for it. So don't forget to get paid. But the next thing I would say to little baby Dave is stop worrying so much about getting paid. We are business casing the soul out of our products. We're so time constrained and resource constrained that we're often put in this position of having to justify every little thing we do with these elaborate business cases and these arduous processes. And not only does that slow us down, but it creates a culture of systematic risk aversion, right? It creates a culture of small incremental thinking driving small incremental gains. When I was starting off as a product manager, product management was really about defining the functional requirements of products, and those functional requirements were often defined in megabytes, megahertz, or horsepower, or dollars, basically cost, speed, and power. But it's no longer enough to just meet the functional needs of our customers. We also have to appeal to their emotional and social needs as well. Customers want to feel connected to us. They want to feel entertained. They want to feel heard and understood. They want to cheer for us, and they want to trust us. And trust isn't built on megabytes. Trust is built on an understanding that we know who they are, and that they believe that we have their best interest at heart, and that they believe that they're a part of our tribe. And this is so crucial, and it's so powerful. Now, these don't have to be big, massive things, right? They can be little gestures. This is Mondo. This is a small fintech startup in London. And they have an app with a prepaid spending card. And they offer a feature in the app that you might expect from something like that, the ability to freeze the card, right? And after you freeze the card, if you want to stop that, what do? You defrost the card, right? This didn't take anything. It's a little bit of microcopy and a graphic, right? But it made me chuckle. It tells me that they don't take themselves too seriously, right? And it tells me that we have a shared sense of humor. True Jerky is a San Francisco-based company. I actually had some of this the last time I was here. It's really, really good jerky. But as I was eating it, I noticed this. They actually put dental floss in the bag of jerky so that when you're done, you knew where that was going. But did they have to put that in there? Of course they didn't. Does that increase their costs? Yes, it does. Do you think that they can justify the ROI or even measure the ROI in terms of increased sales or increased customer loyalty for doing that? No, they can't, right? But it made me smile. And if you can make somebody smile, you have the foundation for a lifetime of loyalty. But for my money, nobody does this better than a company called PagerDuty. PagerDuty is an automated incident management system. Basically, when your site goes down, it wakes all the right people that are on call up with an app, right? And if you're one of those people on call, you dread hearing that thing go off in the middle of the night, right? Because it means something's really bad and you're tired and you need to get up and it's on you to fix it. And the guys at PagerDuty really understood this. They made these, so they've got this barbershop quartet at PagerDuty. It's called Barber Duty. And they recorded these hilarious ringtones, right? That can go off. You can choose that go off instead of some normal beep that can go off when shit happens. It's hard to describe. Should I play you a few? Okay. Oh boy, that's a bit embarrassing. Geez. So, is there anybody from PagerDuty in the audience?
Yo.
We're from PagerDuty.
You guys are from PagerDuty?
Yeah.
So, do you guys know these ringtones that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you think you could sing them? For, you guys want to? You guys want to hear them sing one of the ringtones? Ladies and gentlemen, Barber Duty.
Gone are the hard drives of all those golden days.
We need to hear at least one more. You guys want one more? One more? All right, come on, give us one more, guys.
The server's on fire. On fire.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, barber duty. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Now, how do you put an ROI on that? Well, maybe you can. So Jeff Atwood tweeted about this, and Jeff Atwood has 224,000 followers. So maybe you can, but that's not why they did it. So you have to remember that you also need to appeal to the emotional and social needs of your customers. It's just as important, if not more important, than their functional needs. The next thing I would say to little baby Dave is speed up. I shudder to think at the amount of value that I have destroyed in my career through inaction, through not taking action. As product managers, we often understand the cost of things in terms of how many story points it takes, or how many dollars, or how many days it's going to take to get done. But there's something much more fundamental that we need to internally grasp, right? And that is the cost of inaction, the cost of not doing something, the cost of delay. This is one of the most important concepts that I wish I had known earlier in my career. We put off making decisions for all kinds of reasons. Every time you put off making a decision, you are destroying value. The features and products that we ship have a limited shelf life, and the longer it takes them to get to market, the less value that they have. So every time you're putting off making that decision, you're destroying value. Every time you're leaving a question that somebody has go unanswered, and so they're blocked on it, you're destroying value. And there's all kinds of reasons why we put off making decisions, right? We don't have enough information, right? Or we don't know who the decision maker is, right? Or so-and-so is on vacation, and so we need to wait for him to get back. The one, though, that really gets me, so I had a team, and I was talking to them, and I said, why haven't we made this decision yet? And the product manager looked me in the eye, this is a true story, and he said, we haven't made the decision yet because we haven't been able to get a meeting room to hold the meeting to make the decision. Okay. And when I heard that, it made me want to go up on the roof, set myself on fire, and jump off the roof. It drives me absolutely insane. I just can't believe when people do that. You don't make a decision because you can't get a meeting room. The next thing I would say to little baby Dave is say no. As product managers, we don't say no enough. And again, this is one of those things that's so powerful. But our jobs are hard, right? We've got lots of stakeholders. We've got lots of competing priorities. We've got lots of people to make happy. But let me be very clear. This is not about making people happy. This is about making our customers happy. And there's all kinds of reasons why we might say no. If marketing comes to you and asks you for a marketing feature, the answer should be no. If a sales guy comes to you and he says, I just need this one feature for this one customer, the answer should be no. It's really hard to do this. If the CEO says, hey, I got this great email from my cousin and it's this great idea, but it's not a great idea, the answer really, really needs to be no. My favorite, though, this one that sticks in my memory, why something made it into a backlog. I was doing some backlog grooming with the team, and I saw this thing in the backlog. And I said, why is that in the backlog? That doesn't help anything. And the person said to me, well, we gave it to Steve to put something in the backlog because Steve hadn't had a turn to put anything in the backlog in a while. But if you are saying no, you're probably saying no for all of the wrong reasons. And I'm guilty of every single one of these, right? You say no because you think you're protecting the team. You hear that all the time. Your job isn't to protect the team. Your job is to protect the customer, right? You say no because, this is my favorite, this is the one I'm guilty of all the time. You say no because you don't like the person who suggested it, right? Your job is to say no. But make sure that you're saying no for the right reasons. The next thing is don't be a visionary, right? When I was young, I thought I had to have all of the answers. I had to be able to see into the future and know everything. And I would be this oracle that people would come to, and I would dispense with my wisdom, and then they would go off and build things, and it would be amazing. Elon Musk is a visionary. He builds self-driving cars and spaceships, okay? If your strategy to be a really good product manager is to be Elon Musk, then fine, go with that. But for the rest of us, this is about grinding it out, right? This is about doing the hard work. Products don't need visionaries. They need product managers who are obsessed with understanding the customer's problem and solving it, right? So don't be a visionary, be a product manager. This is what we do. When I was 25, I worked on a product called Host Integration Server. And it's a product that connects these things, IBM mainframes, to the internet. And I was so excited because I was going to my first customer pitch, and I'd put together all the features that were going to be in this product, and it was ready to go, and it was going to be amazing. And I walked in the meeting, and there was a 60-year-old man there with a suit on and a pocket protector, and then there was 25-year-old me with shorts and sandals on. And we sat down, and I said, okay, let me tell you what we're going to do. Okay, so first of all, you're going to be able to access natively everything on there, but we're going to put web services on it. Then you're going to be able to wrap XML wrappers around it. You're going to be able to do all this stuff, and then you're going to be able to take it to the web. And he said, let me stop you right there. You have no idea what I want. Do not come back until you have a clue about what I want. That was the first time I got yelled at by a customer. There's a funny joke. My mom always says this funny thing. She says a product manager that really thinks he knows his customer is like a male gynecologist. And I always get a chuckle from that. I love it. Man, when Nate was thanking his family earlier, I really should remember to thank my mom for that. I'm just going to show you a picture of my mom, okay? She's really cute. Oh boy. God, I'm not having a lot of luck with this today. Wait a second. Is my mom in the audience? She is in the audience. Mom, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Round of applause for my mom. Thank you, Mom. The last thing I would say, if I could go back and talk to Dave 20 years ago, I would say, Dave, be dumb. You've got a precious gift when you're starting off, and that you don't know anything. You're not encumbered by knowledge, and you're not encumbered by inertia. And the best product managers that I've ever worked with have had this capacity to be dumb, to always look at a situation through the eyes of the customer. Companies drift, right? They lose sight of what they're there to do, and they start solving their problems and not customers' problems. And as product managers, it's our job to always correct that and always advocate for the customer and bring the customer's perspective to the situation. So I wish I'd spent a lot more time being dumb. And if you can spend a lifetime being dumb, you're going to have a great career as a product manager. And that, my friends, is what I would tell Dave if I could go back in time and tell him everything I knew. But don't listen to me. Product management is a mindset, and it's a craft, and you have to make your own path, and you have to make your own mistakes. And you're so lucky that you have this amazing community here. I didn't have this when I was starting off. You have this amazing tribe of people that you can learn with and learn from. So don't listen to me. However, if in listening to this talk, I've saved at least one of you from climbing up off the roof, setting yourself on fire, and jumping off, then it was all worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause for Barbara Duty. One more round of applause for my mom. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.